Hi guys, it is 7:09 p.m. on the 9th of April 2025, and I am doing this as a Zoom video without participants just to make it easier, really. And I just want to sort of say it all and then let you go. Um, that way, it's a lot easier for me to try and think through this thing. So anyway, this is a really important kind of announcement, and it is related to all of what's going on politically and internationally and financially at the moment, including the subject. Actually, I've got a really bad reflection going on there. Anyway, anyway, oh geez, bad day on my glasses. Anyway, a real important announcement on the subject of gold and silver. Now, you have probably heard, or you may have heard, although mainstream media aren't doing this, saying too much about it, about, well, they have been saying about the tariffs. They haven't been saying too much about the stock market and about gold and silver. So let me fill you in. At the moment, they had when the tariffs were announced, the stock markets crashed badly on the news that this was all going to be happening. And the gold and silver, which had been climbing considerably over the last a few weeks, suddenly crashed. But there's more to the story than that. Gold went right up to in New Zealand dollars, 3,100 and something or other. In US dollars, that's per ounce. In US dollars, that's like something like 5,000 something or other. And silver had gone up to, I think it was like about 35 an ounce in New Zealand dollars. And it crashed right down to about 30 and even 29. And I think it's sitting somewhere around 30 at the moment. But that's quite a plunge. Now, there's also so much to say about this. Silver is and has been for a long time undervalued. And by that, what we're saying, or what I'm saying, is that when you look at the value of gold and you look at silver, silver is something like 1% of the actual value compared to gold that it should be. And it has been that way for quite a long time, and it's been held down. And that might sound strange, but silver has been held down through various means. And there has been a great expectancy for silver to shoot up in price so that it would be closer to the value of gold, so that'd be sort of in some kind of alignment. It would be lower than gold, but it would be in similar value. There's a lot of sort of nuances and facets to this story, and I'm just trying to sort of give you an idea, a sort of a general viewpoint. You can watch other videos about gold and silver. You can look them up on YouTube, and that's a way of kind of getting a bit more of the picture as well. I've shared a few of them. But so silver's been held down for a long time. And also, just doing a video. So also gold crashed and silver crashed when the tariffs were announced. And it was stated on mainstream media, where it was stated at all, or mentioned at all, was that the reason this had happened was because the tariffs were announced. However, there's another reason, and that is that over the last month, let's say, the price of gold had been going up and up, and the same with silver. There's a lot of interest, a lot of demand for gold and silver, particularly silver, by the way. One of the reasons for that is that silver is not just a commodity, not just a like for jewelry and so forth, but it is also used in manufacturing, more so than gold. And basically there is a difference between the silver that's available and what people have bought that is on paper purchased. Now, you can buy silver and not have it delivered to you, which is basically paper silver, if you like, right? If you ever demanded it, you could ask for it and have it sent to you, but it's sitting there supposedly in a vault somewhere. And a lot of sales have been made over that way over time, more than what was actually available in reality, if you like, in hard silver. And with the increase in demand for silver, the holders of that silver have to deliver it. And if they can't deliver it, then they have to go buying silver themselves. And we get this huge demand where it becomes circular. They're buying silver that they've already, that they're supposed to hold, but they haven't got because they've sold it to more than one person. Do you get what I'm saying? Okay. Never mind. So basically, there's been a growing demand for silver, and that has been the thing that is bound to push silver up in value. And this is actually going stronger and stronger. Now, also, in all of this storyline, we have the US, which is $36 trillion in debt, and they desperately want a reset because the value of the US dollar is going down. Watch my finger, down and down. It's tanking, it's dropping. And hence, Trump steps in and he introduces this tariff idea. The inflation has been going high in US, and this is his solution, right? Which it might be a solution for the US, and but for the rest of the world, it's terrible, if you like. It's not a good thing. Maybe in the long run, maybe possibly, but it doesn't work out that way in practice. And even for US, it could take a long time for this thing to actually work out, and it could backfire and throw the entire planet into a heavy recession, which is what a lot of people were thinking may happen. Okay. So that being the case, this is where a lot of people were going, well, look, we need to buy gold. We need to buy silver because it's always been, through the centuries, it's been considered valuable, considered a currency of its own, considered something that's stable. And in an unstable world, you want to really be grasping on stable currency. Now, on top of that, there has been talk of, actually, they're putting through bills to legislate cryptocurrencies, and that is another thing that is looming, if you like, is this legislating of currency of crypto, because that could really affect people buying crypto and decrease the willingness or whatever of people to buy crypto. So that's another facet. Okay. There was another thing I was just thinking of, just slipped by with all of this. I'm trying to give you this whole, what could be written in a book, really, of information on the subject. I've got a distraction going off in the background here. So there's this plan to an urgency to reset the dollar. Now, on top of that, there's been all the political moves of Trump saying, well, he's they bombed Yemen, and they are thinking of taking on Iran. They want a war with Iran. Now, there's all of the ramifications of that. Where is Netanyahu pushing him into this, and this is all for Israel and so forth. And I'm not going to get into all of that at the moment. All of that may well be true, but it's not the subject here. So if that happens, of course, the US may even want a war, because during a war everything crashes and it becomes easier to wipe $36 trillion of debt. You see, and you can start all over again and start, all your corrupt activities all over again, as history has it, So a war at this time would be very convenient. However, what America hasn't put into the equation, if you like, is number one, they thought that they were going to take Russia out, and using Ukraine as the proxy to take out Russia didn't work, right? And it's actually failing very badly. And in the meanwhile, they spent $200 billion into Ukraine and sent an awful lot of weaponry over to Ukraine, which has also had the disadvantage of using up vital or important supplies of US weaponry that will take a long time to produce again and a long time to replace. And so the US is not in a good position militarily. And so this is just painting the picture here. This is all important. Now, I hope you're going to stay and listen to the whole lot, because there is a whole point to this. So they were sending all this weaponry to Ukraine, and it all went to custard, if you like. And then they have bombed Yemen, but they didn't realize that Yemen had a bit more, how would you say, firepower than they thought they had. And Yemen have been bombing, the Houthis have been bombing even the US naval ships, and doing quite well at it, like sinking a couple of ships and so forth, right? And bombing some of the aircraft carriers. Now, the reason the Houthis were doing that was because they disagree with Israel attacking Gaza, and they say that they will continue to bomb ships in the Gulf until Israel backs off and stops attacking Gaza, which is a very noble kind of thing to do, really, in a way. They're just saying that they want to protect the people in Gaza, the Palestinians. So, see, there's stories and stories and stories, and this is all part of the story, right? So America has come out and said, okay, well, look, Iran is supplying the Houthis with all of this armory, which is not necessarily true either, by the way. They might be doing some of it, but the Houthis are very capable of producing this stuff themselves now. And this is the story where the US has seriously misestimated the enemy, if you like, which the Houthis aren't an enemy, but the US loves to make enemies out of other countries, and so they pick this enemy today and Iran tomorrow, and so now they've decided that because Iran is supplying Houthis with weapons, which we don't even know that that's true, but that they will attack Iran because they are the real bad guys. And also that they think that Iran is really close to having nuclear weapons and they can't have that. Now, again, why can't they have it? Why can't Israel has nuclear weapons? Many countries have nuclear weapons, and France has nuclear weapons, and so forth. So why can't the Iranians? Why does the US have to decide this? But this is the way they play. Well, Iran just have come out with several videos, and Trump has been saying, "Oh well, he thinks that they'll negotiate all of this because the Iranians are very vulnerable and they don't want to be attacked and all of this." And the Iranians have come out and said, "Well, actually, we're fully prepared and we don't have a problem with being attacked because we have all of the defense in place. And not only that, we have some very formidable weapons, including one that will flatten drones that will flatten a 2,000 kilometer kill zone. In other words, it'll wipe out everything within 2,000 kilometers when it gets hit, when it hits." And and even if they send those over, the thing is, even if they get shot down in the sky, they're going to have still the same amount of damage impacting. So so they've come out with that. They've come out with that they've got radar defenses, advanced radar defenses to detect any stealth bombers of the US and so forth. So in other words, if they attack Iran, basically what's going to happen is it's going to go into World War III very seriously, and nobody wants that. Russia and China have recently been doing drills with Iran, and so Iran's got allies as well, and not a good look to take on. Where you've got the US military that's dwindled, has not the missile backup because it's given it all to Ukraine, and they have transgender military. They've got a smaller force, and like the likes of Russia, which has now over 1 million soldiers, battle experienced soldiers, and that makes a huge difference. So there you have it. I've just told you what's happening in the whole world right now. But here's the thing. This is what I wanted to tell you, right? And I'll share this screen here because two things, right? One is that since the price of gold is not going to be held back much longer, and the price of silver is not going to be held back much longer, right? They are going to change. Now is a very, very good time for you to be buying gold and silver, right? Now you can buy either or both, and there are different opinions about what's better. Gold tends to be more stable. Silver tends to be more volatile, up and down a bit more, but it's also destined to go up. And a lot of people are saying that by the end of the year, these even banks like Goldman Sachs have already said that by the end of the year, silver should be at $200 an ounce. Well, guess what? It's only at $29 an ounce as we speak, somewhere, or $30 an ounce as we speak. Now, if just do your math, right? If it's $30 an ounce, you buy an ounce, and by the end of this year, that $30 is going to be $200. Now, if you buy a kilogram, just do the math on it, right? It's going to be a lot. Right? It's going to be a lot more, ounce, pound, whatever, but they are sold in kilogram blocks. And I will show you where you can buy gold or silver, right? Obviously, when you buy silver, you get a bigger package. Silver, gold, you get a very small package for the same price as what you buy for a lot of silver, but it's more valuable and it's also more stable. So, you have to decide about what you're going to buy. I can kind of, it's like that, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I can give you the knowledge, but I can't make you think. So, but I can leave you to make the decision. You can always message me if you want to. But the main thing is, even if you don't have a lot of money, you could spend, like a couple of hundred, just buying something because it's going to actually, it's going to go up in value. Now, if it doesn't go up in value, it's definitely not going to be a waste because it will not go down in value a whole lot either, right? And if it does, it'll come back up again. These things have been at these values forever, and they're going up now, right? But there is talk about that gold could go up thousands when all of this sort of really gets going. And here's an insider thing, right? I was talking to one of the gold salesperson, these companies in New Zealand today. I won't say which one, but the guy, I was talking to one of the managers, and he was telling me because I bought it. I'm like, okay, how long is it going to take me to get this, for it to arrive? And he's, well, it's going to be like 7 to 10 days. Well, guess what? Normally, you're talking about a day or 2 days or something like that. Now, why is it that way? Because even here in New Zealand, the demand is just shot out the roof, and these guys can't even keep up with it. It's like phenomenal. Now, second piece to all of this is, one, you get to gain about it. You get to gain the value of these things, and the more you buy, of course, the more potential you have to gain a lot. Of course, don't break your bank. You want to have enough in cash. You want to have enough in your bank and to pay your bills and carry on. But here's the thing: there's a second part to this, and that is that by you buying this gold and by you buying this silver, you are actually, let's say, taking a shot at the people the bankers who are holding you to ransom with all of this. In other words, these are the people who have been making your life miserable for years, right? Because they don't want you to have the gold. They don't want you to have the silver. They don't want you to be wealthy. They want to be wealthy themselves. So you buying the gold, buying the silver, right? You are actually contributing to that turning motion where if we all do it and we all start moving in that direction, then it's going to break the bank, basically. And as long as you're better off not to have the money in the bank when it goes. Because here's the thing as well, by the way, is that if you didn't know this, that the Reserve Bank of New Zealand has passed a ruling that affects all banks in New Zealand, and that is that the banks, if they run into trouble, financial trouble, they can do what is called bail in. And that is where the government doesn't bail them out. In other words, the government won't be there to help them out and pay them money because the government's broke anyway, right? But what they will do is they'll bail in, which means what happens is they close the banks on Friday night, and on Monday morning they reopen, and every account in there has been trimmed by this much. So if you had $10,000 in there, you've now got maybe 5,000 or 8,000 or something like that, right? And depending on how much money you've got, a percentage of it will be trimmed right off, you don't get to have it anymore, right? That's a bail-in, right? Now that can be done. It's already in the legislation in New Zealand, can be done, right? So, you know, having your money in the bank doesn't keep it safe. That's the point I'm making. Having it in cash and having it in gold, um, or silver, gold and silver, right? It is a fairly solid way of having it. Nothing's guaranteed here, right? All of this could change and so forth, right? But it also, nothing's guaranteed if you keep your money in the bank either, right? We're living in a rapidly changing world, and I can't guarantee you anything. I'm just telling you all of these facts of how it looks right now, and I could be wrong. It could all change this way or that way or the other way. It's not likely to. That's all I'm saying. And as I say, the with all of these things, these factors of like, cryptocurrency being legislated, um, they're talking about introducing a stable coin, which is basically linking an actual physical coin to cryptocurrency. And so that the cryptocurrency is then sort of somehow linked, and they could do it that way. But all of these plans are mainly so that the government has more money and control than you. And when you start buying this gold and you buy the silver, you and the many, many other people, you are actually securing our freedom from that oppression from governments trying to actually hold things down. Now, another point, you might have heard all sorts of stories of Russia and China, terrible stories over the years. It's all, you know, it's all really bullshit, a lot of it, right? Now, here's the thing. Even the COVID vaccine, right? Oh, they tried to blame that on China as well. True, COVID came from a lab in Wuhan, but who was financing it? US, right? Who went over there? Obama was over there visiting just before it all happened, right? That was all a US effort. They used China because it was easy. They what happened is the gain of function of COVID, of the virus, was actually they changed the law in US, so they couldn't research it anymore in US, so they shipped it over to China and finished the research there. That's why it was there, right? But it was US doing it, right? So, you just have to look in history and start doing the research. US has been the one that's been bombing all the countries, by being have had this hegemony over the over the world, with their US dollar being the reserve currency for the world. In other words, the currency that everybody uses. The US has made a fortune from that. And here we see Trump blaming this country, blaming China, blaming Russia, blaming Iran, blaming the European countries for not putting enough money into military and so forth. Blame, 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 blame. The real blame is actually back home at the US, where they have been taking advantage of people for decades, right? All of these refugees all over the world, where do they come from? Well, they came from the countries the US has been bombing. So when you buy your gold and silver, right, that's what you're actually contributing to changing all of this. Now, I want to show you something. So I'll just share this screen here and you can have a look. I just forget that. Oh, yeah, that's okay. So, sorry, I'm just, here we go, here we go, here we go. So we go like this, and we go there, and we go there. Okay, cool. All right, so now you can see this, hopefully. And this is gogold.co.nz. This is one of the sites. This company are in Auckland, and they're a good company. You can see that, hold on, just get them there. They have a big big setup here, and I think it's an Onehunga, isn't it? They do tell you. Yeah, Nielsen Street, Onehunga, right down here, 273 Nielsen Street, Onehunga. So this is their Penrose. So they've got this building here, okay? Um, they're a good one, right? And the other one that I'm using is this one here, which these guys are in Dunedin, buybullion.nz, right? And they are very reliable too, right? They ship very rapidly. They ship basically arrives within a day or two, couple of days. I think they do overnight shipping. Signature only, fully insured, signature only courier delivery. And so you can just so you have a look at this, and I want to show you on these what is for sale. Now, what you want to do, by the way, is when you're buying silver or gold, if you want to do it for resale, what you do is you go for bars or coins. Really, you want to go for something that you can resell. You don't want to go, so you don't go to a jewelry shop and go buying rings and earrings and all of that. They will go down in value or be hard to resell. Whereas if you get in bars like this, they're recognized. And so there you see, you can get, there's a 10-ounce bar of silver for 581. You can get very small amounts, right, if you want. There's a really nice one, the 10 Commandments. I've got one of these, $71.36. And you have to pay for shipping as well. But, I think most of you have $71.36, and you could do with knowing your 10 Commandments better, couldn't you? All right. And, there's one here, 5 grams of silver, $27. So even if you don't have a lot, buy something, get started. I receive no commissions for this. Nothing. This is just me saying this as a way of you being able to make more money. Now I want to show you on here on Go Gold New Zealand, right? And their shop. See, they have ABC, which is an Australian company. They have New Zealand Pure, which is a New Zealand company. I want to show you a couple of these because they have very good prices. The New Zealand gold and silver tends to be a lot really reasonably priced, right? So you can have a look at this yourself. If you've got a lot of money, you can go buying 100 grams, or 10 ounces. You see, 56,000. 500 grams, 90,000, but you can get little bits. And I'll go to ABC, which is something I want to show you here. Here we go. So you get, here we go. So we got 1 gram of gold for $222. Now you can think, oh, that's a lot of money. It might be at the moment, but it'll be a lot more money in the not too distant future. And if you have bought one of these, you can resell it back to these guys, to these ones, or to buy bullion. You can resell back to these guys, and they tell you how to sell to us. See, and this one here, sell to us, right? So they explain. You want to look after it. You don't want it all like with grease and so forth all over it. They want you to look after it, and then when you resell it, they'll buy it back. So we go down here. Oh, is this on ABC? Yeah. Okay, cool. So you can get these small amounts, the small amount of gold there, right? And you can get silver in, here we go. Let's have a look here. Oh, you got you can go right up to buying. Where is it? What am I looking for here? There's 1 kilo of gold, by the way, 181,000. And you can go to, oh, here we go. Yeah. Well, that's platinum. No, that's a lot more expensive. I was looking for the kilogram of, where is it? Where are we? Where are we? Oh, there, yeah. Yeah. So there we go. 1 kilogram of silver here. And you can have a look at that, right? $1,960 for a kilo of silver. And you just stick that on your cart, you sign up, and you just follow the instructions on the website for paying and so forth. You pay through your bank transfer. It goes through. You always put your invoice number on the when you buy it in the link on the bank payment, and and it's all yours. You get it sent and sent to you, and that's it. So there we go. That's I'll stop sharing there. There we go. So yeah. Anyway, that is pretty much what I wanted to go over with you. And I hope this wasn't boring. I hope it was interesting for you, and I hope you stayed with it because I really believe that this is a great opportunity for anyone, to make some money on this thing, right? It's not some sales scheme or anything like that. This is simply about you using whatever money you have in the best way possible when things are about to go, uh, you know, change, right? There's going to be a lot of change coming up in the next year, and possibly even a recession. Well, in times like this, you want to have some pretty solid assets, some pretty solid ways of holding on to anything that you've gained in the last few years. Have a good night. And as I say, you're welcome to message me or when I post this, ask questions on the post, and we'll go from there. Cheers. Bye.